Hello, everybody. Today we have two guests on the podcast from StrategiQ. We've got James Bovingdon, CPO, and Dale Olrenshaw, Head of Paid Media. Guys, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. Thanks, Gareth.
No worries, good to have you. Okay, so let's dive straight into the questions, if that's all right. If you guys could just tell us a little bit about StrategiQ and what the company does.
Yeah, absolutely. So, really appreciate you asking. StrategiQ is a brand and performance agency, and obviously a lot of agencies say they can do that, but there's a couple of things really that make us different and stand out. Firstly, the way we operate at the intersection between business, brand, and technology. We like to think about challenge business problems before we get tactical. And then the second thing really that makes us, what we think makes us different, is the way we think. So we go broad with insight discovery before jumping into solution mode. We're very outcomes focused rather than tactical. And what we also like to do is challenge our clients to right from the outset to really help them see outcomes that perhaps have not yet been realized in their marketing strategies. And Dale, maybe do you want to cover the other aspect of our agency, the 70-20-10?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's a good question. What makes us stand out? At the moment, we're undergoing quite an extensive recruitment drive. And it's a question that various candidates have been asking me over the last few months, but I'm also asking candidates, why did StrategiQ stand out to them? And it's a whole new framework which we've released out into the world over the last 6 months or so, which is our, exactly like James said, our 70-20-10 framework. And it's split down into 70% of the time, or that your budget would be spent in the optimization foundational phase, where we really focus on fine-tuning current client, prospects, brands, current activity to drive predictable, scalable, and forecastable results. So it's essentially taking their marketing channels and marketing strategy and optimizing what they're currently doing to an optimum level. The 20% of that we call the acceleration phase, should I say. So using performance and customer data together, we unlock new and increasingly high-performing strategies, channels, media to accelerate the client's strategy. And then finally, 10% is the innovation phase, where this is where we solve the biggest problems and create the most value to our clients. So it could be a test that could really drive something new, or it could be experimenting with a whole new demographic that the client or the business has never reached out to previously. So that's what really makes us stand out to what anyone else is doing in the marketplace at the moment.
Very nice, very nice. I like that 70-20-10 philosophy. That's sort of, I guess that's is that sort of a planning philosophy where you're sort of taking the budget, you're sort of, it seems to be you're applying 70% to things that you kind of already know work, then 20% to things that you're fairly sure will work, and then 10% sort of experimental budget. Is that sort of how it's working now?
Yeah, you pretty much hit the nail on the head there, and I think it speaks in a way in which clients and businesses can understand as well, and it's an easy way to let the client know how their budget will be used as well, where will 70% of our time and utilization be, where will 20%, where will 10% be. So it's all in simple terms, easy to understand, and clients at the moment are liking on how the team is utilizing that framework.
Very cool, very cool. I mean, so apart from that, then I guess what are the key features that make you guys stand out versus your competitors?
I think the key features, just to kind of go back over the kind of, I guess, the points we're making, is a lot of agencies say that they're full service integrated. A lot of people as well using, the term strategy to guide the outputs that they're working on. And StrategiQ was originally founded on strategy and, the IQ, the intelligence at the end, intelligent strategy. And, as we've evolved over the last few years, fundamentally to us, what we really like to do is just really dig into that early stage to understand our clients' businesses, understand their audiences, challenge the thinking, bring our expertise to the table, and work on a strategy before we get to solving the problem, before we dive too far into tactics and sort of getting lost in the the sort of mundane expectations that that could be had on agencies. So yeah, we very much pride ourselves as an integrated team working with our clients to unlock and really understand the business, understand the objectives before we get into tactical delivery.
Nice. It's that deep understanding of the client that really makes you guys stand out. And is there any particular ways that you any strategies that you use to sort of really get into your clients in a particular way that, like I say, gives you that edge?
Yeah, there's a few things we do. I'm sure Dale will build on, the ones that kind of stand out to me with some projects we've done recently, working closely with our clients to really understand their brand. Is their brand digital ready? Their audiences, customer personas, customer journeys, for example, on the website, how robust and profound are those? And, how do we use those to influence the campaigns that we're setting up, whether that's across paid media, affiliate marketing, or even SEO? Who are we talking to and why? Digging in and really understanding that and ensuring that we spend the time and detail that's needed. We're not saying that we'll, postpone taking action. We're not saying that, as an agency, we're set up and geared up to ask for things to be, spelled out to us that already exist. But we just make a point of taking the time to really challenge and unpick that kind of broad perspective and understanding of our clients to really help us narrow in and validate the solutions that might, appear obvious at first. Oh, that campaign could be rebuilt. There's a technical SEO problem there with the website. Rather than resisting the urge to just go in and grab those things, why are we doing this in the first place is where we stand out.
Very interesting, very interesting. So sort of taking a holistic approach rather than just maybe going in and finding sort of the easily or obvious problems that the client's facing, but also taking a step back and making sure that those things fit in with the holistic goal for the client. Very good. And in terms of your client work, I mean, would you be able to tell us about a client result you're most proud of recently?
Yeah, do you want to go first, Dale? I almost don't know where to start.
Yeah, sure. I think, as you could probably see behind James's head there's a nice shiny Drum Award, UK Search Award.
I thought you were going to say Darth Vader.
And I think that's what, certainly over the last few years, we've sort of, aimed for, is that award-winning mentality. And I know it's certainly something I drive within the team when we're working on building a campaign, media plan, whatever it may be. I always ask the team, is this award winning, or is it something that's just out the box? Is it going to excite our clients? Is it going to bring not just performance to the table, but something that both us and our clients want to get out of bed for and strive towards? And I think one of certainly our proudest moments over the last 3 years is at the UK Search Awards. We've won the best PPC campaign in travel and leisure 3 years on the trot, and to get 2 years was a fantastic achievement. And then we went and did a third at the 2024 awards, which I'm super chuffed for the team. And what's even better is that it's with different clients as well. So the first award was around our whole data attribution work for a luxury travel client. Then it moved on to the performance driven side, and then finally onto a new client, which we did change their business entirely last year, which incorporated a lot of external third-party data being injected into our campaigns, and it really, stood out to the rest of the work that was being done in the industry. So I think whilst we're not an agency who specializes or focuses in on one industry, we've certainly found a bit of a sweet spot in that industry and sector, which we're producing some really good work for at the moment.
Very nice, very nice. Congratulations on the awards. Very impressive to get 3 on the trot as well. Very good. So in terms of AI, so obviously that's a big theme, and this is something we like to cover on the podcast. How do you think that AI is going to change the media industry over the next few years?
Well, I could probably tee Dale up for this one actually, because I can kind of pull back into the previous question and bridge us in quite nicely. AI is already making significant change and has been for some time. Like Gareth and Dale. The project I've been incredibly proud of recently is, working to frame the landscape of how people are searching for our clients' products and services. There's a fantastic brand called Goreware that we work with. They produce really high quality, technology driven cycling and running apparel, and with the affiliation, obviously, they have with their sort of parent company, Gore and Gore-Tex, working and, with them on their optimization of their website and in collaboration with their pay team has been fantastic, because they've been asking and talking to us, well, if I as an individual have been using my phone to, search for things on ChatGPT, surely everyone's doing that. And the platforms that people are using to find our products, do their research is changing. What do we need to do with our strategy and our campaign to be found in these new platforms? And, as much as that change is underway, I think ChatGPT is predicted to sort of possibly get a 1% share of the search landscape this year, if the trajectory continues, and that really does pale into insignificance compared to Google's, I think it's 93%, Bing's 4%. And what we're actually noticing in this bit of research that we presented to the Goreware leadership team kind of highlighted how, yes, people are using and adopting AI search tools to discover products, but last year Google searches actually increased by 22% in 2024 over 23. And the general feeling of, well, why is that, is because people are then, yes, doing a little bit of homework style research on these, Gen AI chatbots, but they're still having to go and take action on Google, whether it's to buy the best coffee machine under $500, or if they want to validate something that they've, seen in Perplexity about the news and actually go and find it and dig into it in a little bit more detail. So, really great piece of work, really great project that we have been doing there. Lots is changing, and maybe Dale, you want to talk through some of the things that you're seeing in the pay team in particular.
Yeah, this is where I can lead in more so on that paid media side. There's, I think, from my perspective, where we're seeing AI really come into play, certainly over the last year, 2 years, is around the creative side. So you may have heard the expression DCO, dynamic creative optimization, and it's all based around how you can enhance personalized experience. So personalization at scale, and AI and various platforms are allowing not just, our team, the paid media team, but wider teams, organic social teams, CRM teams, customer experience teams, to enable automatic generation and delivery of highly personalized ads. And you can tailor that to individual preferences such as behaviors, demographics. And we're seeing some good results, boosting top of the funnel engagement, increasing bottom of the funnel conversion rates. So there's still a manual element at play, but it's a way to certainly create some efficiency. And on top of that, I guess it's real-time optimization as well. The amount of data we're pulling in on a daily basis from a variety of our campaigns all at once, all thanks to these platforms, is allowing us to make swift decisions, such as, should a headline change, should an image change, should a call to action change, and how do we change that to resonate with different audiences. And I think the way in how we can quickly optimize the efficiency, if you can compare 2025 to 2015, is so stark. So I highly recommend marketers look into tools such as Saltra, Storytech to look at dynamic creative optimization. It's really a key driver for us at the moment.
Amazing. And so there seems to be two themes. Obviously, there's the way that customers are researching and potentially eventually purchasing is changing and transitioning because they're using AI more. And then sort of on the back end, from like an optimization point of view, there's more tools available using AI to actually drive enhanced performance from a campaign point of view.
Exactly that, Gareth. That's what we're seeing. I mean, I think, how is AI changing the media landscape? I think it is. I mean, it's already happening. If we park for 1 minute the advances in sort of attribution, reporting, and getting to decisions and results quicker, there's this little and often thing happening at the moment. There are some tentpole seismic moments. I'll talk about one in a second, but there's things being released at the moment to help advertisers leverage platforms and put ads in front of the right people at the right time. And I think that's just going to be a continual and often thing. So I think it was last week, YouTube launched something called Peak Points, where, using Gemini AI, they're appraising video content, they're working out what's a really emotive or key moment in time. We already know that they know when people are skipping and buffering videos to the bit they want to watch, what's the most important part of the video. But advertisers can start to drop in adverts for their products, their services at these emotive moments to really land and, increase click-through rates or brand awareness. So these little tools, I think, are just going to continue to, drop in to the platforms and give advertisers the ability to take advantage of them and pull those levers when they need to. But the more seismic moments, 3 weeks ago, OpenAI announced ChatGPT search shopping, just simply called shopping. And, they use an example in their press release where I think, again, it's somebody searching for the best way to have Italian style level coffee at home without spending more than $1,000. And they're starting to bring out these Google shopping style product cards with reviews. Now, at the moment, their experimentation, and I've actually managed to replicate this in ChatGPT, it's impartial. It's not based on any influence from promotion. It's all about, what their large language model has learned and would genuinely recommend to somebody impartially. But, for those of us that have seen, the social media movie, about Facebook, advertising's not cool. Eventually, that soon changed. We're going to see the same thing, I believe, with ChatGPT, Perplexity, and these other AI platforms. Because, if they're doing a really great job, they might not have to worry about the revenue from advertising at the moment, but people are going to want to get in and advertise on those platforms. So that will be a key thing, one of those tentpole moments that's already created ripples a couple of weeks ago when it was announced.
Yeah, that's very exciting. It's also quite scary. You think where it's sort of there's almost a convergence, because at the moment there's like a plethora of ways, for example, that you can shop, and obviously Shopify is a major provider, for example, of like e-commerce stores, for example. But when all of that happens within your AI, you have no reason to go elsewhere. You have no reason to go to potentially e-commerce websites anymore. If that whole flow can work through, for example, ChatGPT or Perplexity. I think somebody did a social media post on that they found some Shopify links in the ChatGPT code. So there's a potential integration there. I don't know if that was part of the announcement that you mentioned there, but that's quite exciting because that immediately pulls in a good percentage of e-commerce websites straight into ChatGPT, so people can basically purchase directly from the chat interface.
I think you've hit the nail on the head with ultimately these platforms, even Google itself, they want to become the PLP, the category page of shopping. They want to take users straight to the product. There were some AI shopping advancements that I saw released last October, I think, by Google, where you've got a very rich integrated AI overview shopping result medley happening. I don't know how far they got with scaling that out, but I do think that even in the standard search results at the moment, Google is starting to take and continue to take people straight to that product page. And the shopping announcement from OpenAI 3 weeks ago is presenting ultimately product cards in the exact same way to take people straight through. But it's the additional context they give to them before they click through. So a key bit of advice, key tactical strategies we're working on with clients at the moment is to, if you've got good conversions, good traffic, good SEO rankings for PLPs and category pages, we absolutely still need to be working with our clients on really developing and advancing their product pages, because that's where ultimately a lot more traffic's going to land.
Okay, brilliant. And could I just ask, how are Strategic implementing AI in the business and for clients? Are you guys seeing results from that?
Yes, and I could take this from a paid media standpoint, because I think there's a lot of really cool and exciting campaign ideas, if I don't say so myself, coming out of the team that we're beginning to implement. And I think AI, one of the positives is that it is opening up new ways of building campaigns and inserting creative thinking into campaigns. We've got a financial client who is wanting to target tier 2 banks across the globe. Unfortunately, they don't have the budget to be targeting all of these tier 2 banks all at the same time. So they needed our assistance on what's the best method to be doing this. And we utilized AI to, first of all, capture the data of where are the tier 2 banks across the globe, how many are there per country. So we first looked at Europe. So we analyzed the UK, Germany, France, Italy, Croatia, every country. And we built the size of these banks, what the demand is for these banks, the current state of them in terms of the data that they've got. And we've been able to create a roadmap of where the biggest opportunity is in terms of demand for our clients. So they've gone from having their budget stretched all across the globe, more specifically Europe, to now they've got an 18-month plan of starting the UK for 3 months, then we'll branch out to here, then we'll branch out to here. We've got certain metrics to know on when we've hit a sweet spot in obtaining or getting exposure in front of these tier 2 banks. And this is all thanks to AI and how we've been able to collate that information from AI. There's another idea for a client of ours that's very weather sensitive. They're involved in boiler servicing, boiler maintenance, renewables, air conditioning, and we had an idea around, depending on the temperature and the weather, would change the ads that are being shown to that certain part of the country. So if temperatures dropped below 13 degrees, the ads would switch to be all about boiler maintenance or get ahead of renewing your boiler ahead of the winter, stay covered. But if temperatures rose above 16, 17 degrees, the ads would dynamically switch to advertising air conditioning units. Now, the client's not gone for it. They really like the concept, but it's just showing those types of ideas that we can go with. Another idea, which I'll hold my hands up, didn't come from me or my team, but it was a candidate who I interviewed recently and I really liked it. So I won't shout his name or the client that he had it with. I'll just say it wasn't us, but he was working for a roofing maintenance business for the US, and their problem was, again, their budget was too stretched. They were targeting the whole of the US, and he was using AI to openly detect where there may be harsh storms coming across the US, if there are any parts of the US that had just been affected. And he was working with AI to dynamically pull the zip codes of areas that may have been affected, which there would be the need for these roofing maintenance services, so he could concentrate his ads on those areas, which I thought was a really smart way of utilizing AI. And finally, outside, I guess, of the targeting side, we're part of the AIMIN network, a global network of various independent agencies. And there's one European agency who have been utilizing AI for voiceover work over ads, and they've been able to create efficiencies with smaller client budgets. Instead of hiring actors, they've been able to get really high quality voiceovers and able to push ads out at a lower cost and at a much more rapid rate on the likes of YouTube. So there's various ways in which we and other agencies are using it at the moment, but it's a really exciting time just in the campaign creation realm at the moment.
I can probably branch out from paid from there, Gareth and Dale, about how other teams in our agency are, using clients internally and internally and with our clients. Early last year, I mean, we have been early adopters of AI where possible, and I think it was maybe back when it was called Bard. But I remember a colleague of mine first sending an email using generative AI, and sadly, that person either didn't fully proofread it through before they sent it. It was a little bit, wasn't exactly how I would expect to read an email. But things have come on quite dramatically since then. So I think even, was it yesterday at Google I/O, they've announced Google Smart Replies, where AI is now training itself based on your inbox to really tailor and personalize responses based on your style, which I think is incredibly cool. I've been personally using Google Workspaces, Gemini AI to sort of like sharpen up bits of text to proof things. Whether then more people will start to use it to pre-write emails for them, we'll see. We've got a development team in the agency. They've pretty much now all switched over to using the AI code writer called Cursor. And they're not sitting there vibe coding, as it's called, with their hands back, just saying, right, build me a WordPress theme. They're using it for auto completion to generate, little pockets of code that they can then drop in for code optimization, security checks. That has become the norm. Any developer joining the company in the last 6 months, even if they've resiliently gone, no, that's not for me, they have converted. They've been, sort of taken aback by how much it can sort of speed up aspects of the workflow. AI note takers, we've all seen them now joining our Zoom meetings, team meetings, Google Chats. Some people think they're a bit of a pain, intrusive, and I think there's a little bit of an arms race at the moment, who's got the best platform, but they're becoming pretty standard, and it's allowing people perhaps to concentrate and focus in meetings, knowing that they don't have to scribble or take notes. What we're actually doing is collecting AI note taker minutes that, and actions from meetings. We're feeding them into our internal proprietary CRM that we call Avaros. That runs our agency, and we're in the process of developing AI agents that can then use that information and take a bit of a health check on the client. Is there like an NPS feedback email we should send out? Do I need to alert the client director that there's perhaps a little bit of a negative sentiment forming on some of these calls? So it's incredibly exciting what collecting this data, using AI to appraise it, to gather that sentiment can do. And obviously there's AI generatively. We've been using AI to create billboards at a sort of budget scale for our clients. We did an incredible campaign bringing the plight of the pangolin, one of our animal conservation charities, the David Shepherd Wildlife Foundation. We worked with them on a brilliant AI generated campaign, which just was incredible, captivating, and like Dale was saying, was using AI to generate not just the visual but animated into video, and to add noises and sort of background sound effects without having to license a single track. And as we've talked, the sort of use of or application of where people are searching online now for the product and services, how disruptive is the the kind of rise of chatbot AI generative agents, and sort of helping our clients navigate that. So yeah, there's a lot of change. And the last thing I'll say on this, in terms of how we're using it, I was part of a sort of pitch rehearsal internally where we were doing an incredible creative campaign for Caterpillar, and there was these lovely storyboards that were shown as to how a sort of go-to-market campaign would work. And I was just sitting there and I was thinking to myself, wow, these look beautiful. Who spent the time? Oh, no, hang on. And then I kind of put my hand up, and even though nobody mentioned it, the fact that these beautiful, illustrative, consistent, accurate AI storyboards were not generated by hand and were produced really efficiently, the fact that no one mentioned that and it's just become the norm, I thought was incredible, and a really great way to efficiently articulate a creative campaign. So AI is automating a lot of the simple, easy tasks and giving our team a lot of time to think about and focus on the creativity, the strategy, and learning more about our clients' businesses and audiences.
It seems like AI is basically touching every area of your business here. I mean, it's literally from starting with the user for your campaigns, to optimizing those campaigns, to internal management. You mentioned your own proprietary database there, and potentially layering in AI agents, capturing call data, and automatically putting that into the AI agents so that they can take action on it. Very, very exciting. I think Jeff Bezos says that AI is going to be a horizontal layer, and it just seems, talking to you guys, that it genuinely is across almost all areas of your business. It's very interesting. You mentioned Google's auto reply feature from I/O. I think there's some big sort of scaled VC companies that have been working in that space. I think a lot of those companies are eventually going to be taken out by Google and Microsoft, because eventually they will just bake those directly into their products. For example, I'm thinking of for example, Fixer AI, which is it's a really cool product. I don't know if you tried it. Really, it's exciting, and I think that's the future of email. But eventually, things like that are going to be baked in surely to things like Gmail. And again, potentially those companies will sort of find it harder. But outside of AI, then, what are the trends you guys seeing in the space that clients should be aware of?
Outside of AI, I mean, the immediate thing that hits me, and it's probably every conversation I'm having with every client across every industry at the moment, and this isn't just in the UK, it's with our global clients as well. But I think the shift and where a business is pushing their marketing budget at the moment, again, speaking selfishly from a paid media perspective, I'm seeing across every industry and across every vertical and most geographic regions, is that budget is being shifted or pushed more into the likes of paid search, paid social. In Q4, in Q1 in the UK, we saw an 8% general increase in paid search budgets. And for paid social, we saw a 9% increase. And that's been a common theme now for about a year and a half, the last 5-6 quarters, that those budgets are constantly being pushed higher and higher. And we're seeing that now across the whole digital landscape. Every client we have are seeing the same. The competition levels within Google Ads, Microsoft Ads is getting higher and higher every month, every quarter. There's new competitors, new businesses within the auction insights. And our advice for clients is to let's not get into a bidding war with these other businesses, especially for those smaller businesses, SMBs, trying to, go toe to toe with a juggernaut blue chip business. They're inevitably going to lose. So it's going back to thinking outside the box. How can we reach our demographic in a much more creative way? And I know we're leaning outside of AI, but AI can help that as well. So they're the sorts of conversations where we're having with clients. And with that as well, it's how do we break through the noise? And this is around the emphasis on authenticity. It's a common message we're giving to all of our clients at the moment. It's how do we be really all authentic in a busy, loud environment? Consumers are no longer passively consuming. They want to co-create with brands. They want to be part of a community. They don't want to just be sold to. They want to be spoken with. And they expect brands to be human, or at the very least possess a pulse. So are brands really speaking to customers? These are the conversations I'm currently having with CMOs. If you search for anything, buy trainers, holiday to Greece, whatever it may be on Google right now, I can guarantee the first 4 paid ads will all be very, very sales driven. Trainers from X amount, save Y on holidays, and no one's really actually talking to the end user anymore. And I get it, everyone's under pressure from the C-suite to drive performance, but unfortunately, this is where the creative side of a marketer really can shine, and this is where a marketing team, a marketing agency can add value.
I think Dale's absolutely spot on, Gareth, with that. Clients are under pressure right now. The trend I'm seeing is they have to deliver short-term results whilst also trying to build long-term value. They've got to achieve more with less, whether that's less budget, less people. And more, like Dale said, they want reassurance. They want data to back up and reinforce the decisions that we're proposing, that even they're asking of us. But the ambitious brands that we're working with, they, going back to our 70-20-10, they want that creative spark to come in to, kind of break through the noise of sort of automation and numbers. But also, some of the really, smart CMOs, marketing directors, heads of marketing that we're working with, they're trying to move away from that narrow focus of in-market buyers for their products and services, creating awareness for those out of market, that much bigger audience, counting impressions as a metric, not just conversions. And, seeing that prioritized and hearing quite a few CMOs we're working with ask for support from us with how they prioritize that to allow the creativity to shine through to play that kind of longer game and, pulling themselves out of that short, narrow, results-driven mentality. And then just to, like Dale, flip it back around to AI. There's one other trend that's really kind of catching my attention at the minute. There are a lot of millennial generation era people who are now becoming, very senior in marketing roles or running and owning, businesses. And, like me, I grew up with a 56K dial-up modem and a computer. And, these people are not afraid to get their hands dirty with AI themselves. a friend of mine with his business, he's completely replaced his telephone system with an AI platform where, he can open up the lines 24/7 and at the same time free up his team internally to do other tasks rather than continue answering the phone. You can obviously still get through to somebody if you need to, but a lot of questions about opening times and so forth are being answered just from that system. And what really blew me away the other week was a managing director of a company was using an application called replit.com, using simple language prompting to create prototype software to show us ideas that he has about how he wants to evolve and build on the customer experience on his website. My jaw was open, last week, just sitting there, and and that's the trend, that's the change, that I'm seeing. We're not talking anymore to naive audiences that are pretending and hiding that this change is real, or they're getting hands on with it. They're talking to us, and I really do think that as marketers, as agencies contract, anyone that's listening, or watching this podcast, if we can't meet this new generation of business leaders and marketers, they'll work with somebody that can and will keep pace with everything that's going on. So whether we like it or not, we are all having to to keep pace with this incredible change at the moment. So as Dale said earlier, yes, it's exciting. It is parried with a little bit of terror, but this is a unstoppable beast at the moment that I'm noticing clients are taking into their own hands in some cases.
Sounds quite scary. It's a new world. What do you think the implications are then of this shift of millennials to more senior positions? What do you think the implications are for agencies? And I mean, obviously, you're getting more. Obviously, the client you mentioned, they're getting more sophisticated, certainly technically. But do you think there's like any other implications that agencies maybe should be aware of? Or
I mean, there's two different clients I'm thinking of in particular. They may not be the norm, and not every millennial is sitting there obsessed and playing around with generative AI, or even doing the whole, action figure craze that was going on last month, when the latest, ChatGPT release came out. I think the younger millennial generation that are coming into these roles, they seem a little bit more emboldened, a little bit more happy to take risks. Yes, they do still want to see and use data. I just think they've got a slightly higher level of expectation from their agencies. My field of vision is quite narrow. There's a few key people that I'm talking to, but I think they're a lot less forgiving. I think they are a little bit more demanding in expectation because, they can see perhaps at a level that agencies, are operating at. It's not sort of ethereal marketing chat anymore. I think some of the younger decision makers that I'm engaging with just seem to be a little bit more technically informed, not afraid to call you out, challenge you if they've got a difference of opinion, rather than being at the mercy of an agency that are helping with the technical or the data aspect that they claim to not understand.
very interesting. And in terms of you guys, then, so what's coming up for Strategic in 2025 and beyond?
Well, I know James has been first-hand involved in a few key projects. I'll let James take the driver's seat on this one.
I mean, we've just gone through a really key moment of change and growth, Gareth, at Strategic. So we recently announced we're now headquartered and centralized in London, which, incredibly exciting. We're actually based down in Shoreditch, in one of the old locations where they used to film The Dragon's Den. And it's a lovely big space. What we were finding as an agency is, yes, there are people productively working from home, some of our developers, kind of tech roles. We've not changed that. There is a hybrid aspect to our agency, but what we did have with little fractured offices around the country was we were still kind of operating and working in silos. So we've centralized our team coming out of, sort of one place. It's allowing us to have easier access to our clients, to be more collaborative. When we have kind of clients that are, flying into London, from, the States or Europe, and, coming to see us has been a real big change for us. There's been some really big key leadership appointments. We have a new chief growth officer and co-investor, Will, who's absolutely fantastic. Daniel, operations director, and also a new head of people who has been doing a fabulous job. Sarah, who's come from Omabono and really helping us grow up and mature as an agency. So there's been a really big transformation at the agency. But in terms of what's, that's kind of happened now, what's coming up next, the internal proprietary platform I spoke about, which is called Ovaro, which is a sort of system intranet CRM that runs our agency. We're actually going to go through a process of taking that to market, commercializing it. There have been various agencies that we've shown it to at the AIM in Agency Network conference that Dale's talking to, that are just saying, Strategic, I need to buy this. How do we get this licensed into our company? Because what that platform does across the way that we frame strategy, the way that we're using it to build our AI agents at the moment, from historical meeting notes and what we feed it in terms of our clients, everything from brand guidelines through to their product inventories. Some really incredible stuff that we're doing there. We can't wait to take that to market. We talked earlier about sector specialisms. A friend of mine, said to me, made me smile the other day. If you have one client in a specific area, you can work with them, focus and help them. If you have two, maybe that's a conflict of interest. You have three clients in the same sector, and all of a sudden you're a specialist, and that can and should be leveraged. So we have noticed that we do actually have clusters of clients in luxury travel, in medical and healthcare. There's all the cross-pollination that we can do. The work that Dale was talking about earlier about weather-based bidding, yes, that can work for a heating and air conditioning company, but it can also work for a travel company where people are making impulse decisions based on whether it's raining and they want to go somewhere hot. So there's a lot of really great work that we're going to do to show our specialisms, even though we are still sort of sector and specialism agnostic. And something that I'm working on that's incredibly exciting as Chief Product Officer is the productization of our agency services, being really clear with what we do, how we do it. We're very focused now on helping our clients achieve outcomes rather than just having vague, ambiguous retainers where we go away and do stuff and hope that it ladders up to an objective or a KPI. We want to use all the skill and experience that we've got from our customer experience specialists through to the fabulous talent we have in Dale's team to write programs of work that are a lot more granular and focused on driving tangible outcomes and measuring those outcomes, as opposed to just seeing if random tactical work is actually performant and masked in a strategy. So yeah, lots of exciting things happening for us this year. We're moving at pace. We're evolving as an agency as well to keep pace with the changing technical landscape that we're all in at the moment. Don't know if there's anything you'd add to that, Dale.
No, I think it's the people aspect is probably the biggest one for me that I'm sort of feeling and seeing across the agency. James is right. The investment, the new C-suite. There's a lot of really high end expertise that's being injected into the agency, and as we look to grow, it's something that we do need. It's something that we need to evolve in, and it's that more high-end creative thinking that I mentioned earlier that we're really looking into. That investment in R&D. What more could we be doing with AI? The whole strategic team, often spread across the UK and often across Europe, attending conferences, talks, seeing clients. I think being based in London, and ever since the end of COVID, the whole mindset is let's get back in front of our clients. And we're seeing it now where, since we moved into London, which is now February, I don't think a week has gone by where either, 2-3 clients haven't come through our front door to see us, or an agency partners come in to give a demonstration. And also, the fun side of it, meeting clients for lunches, dinners, networking, events. It's starting to feel like 2016, 2017 again, always being and talking and seeing clients instead of just virtual every single day. So it's an exciting time, and our clients are saying the same thing. They're seeing the performance on the other end of it.
Cool. Well, guys, welcome to London. We'll have to go for drinks soon.
Absolutely.
We're based in Warren Street there, so not too far from you. Brilliant. Okay, cool. Well, what we like to do is just round up with a few quick fire questions. What is your favorite brand in the digital marketing and media space, apart from obviously yourselves and us?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I'll be quick for the quick fire round. I love HubSpot. I have followed them for quite some time. We use them as an agency, as a CRM platform. The work that they're doing in the space of leveraging all the data that, as you can imagine, CRM sit on. Check out their Breeze AI agents. they've got some fabulous innovations that they've been launching recently. Their approach, their brand, the way that they service us as an agency partner, and the way that we use that platform, they've always really been a standout, global brand for me that I'd recommend taking a look at.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I guess for me, some people may agree, disagree, but Microsoft is really starting to stand out for me. They've obviously been a big move over the last few years, the sort of deals and advancements that they're making. But most recently at the Build 2025 conference, Microsoft unveiled advancements in their Copilot AI, including autonomous agents, semantic search capabilities, and it's all around enhancing going full circle now, that user productivity and experience. They're making some real big leaps, and I'm not complaining because my investments in Microsoft over the last few years are starting to pay dividends. So I'm a happy customer on the other end.
Very nice. I think you better keep an eye on the amount of media spend that Dale's putting their way, though. Maybe he's trying to pump the numbers. Okay, very good. In terms of an individual in the space you'd like to give a shout out to, and why?
Yeah, there's two for me. If I focus in on an area of specialty that I really enjoy, SEO and the changing landscape of AI search, follow Aleda Solis and Lily Ray, and in particular, Aleda heads up a weekly email newsletter called SEO FOMO, and it's not just one person curating key things from the industry. It's based on a sort of voting system, a whole community of people where the really great stories from the week rise to the top. It's probably the first email I open on the train to London on a Monday morning and enjoy, pretending to myself that I'm up to speed with everything that's going on in the world of SEO and AI. But both those two, they're incredible SEOs, very generous with their time, the wider community, and I highly recommend following both and signing up to the SEO FOMO newsletter.
Yeah, mine's not necessarily a newsletter or someone that stands out, but I'm not too sure if you're familiar with the company called Magic Numbers. They're a data and sort of analysis business, and often on LinkedIn I follow Dr. Grace Kite, who shares new research that they've conducted. How does long-term effects of changing creative enhance your paid search campaigns, organic campaigns? I could go on with various examples, but I really find the content that they produce is really insightful, and it gets me thinking a bit differently. And it's not content that's produced every week, so when it does come out, it means something. It's going to have an impact. So I'd recommend for anyone working in the paid media landscape or a marketing agency to follow Magic Numbers, because Grace is doing some good work there.
Very good, very good. Thanks, guys. And the number one lesson learned in each of your careers?
I could probably write a book on the amount of lessons I've learned over the years, but I think the one key thing I always reflect back on is learning to ask the right questions. I started my career as a designer, self-taught developer, naturally found a curiosity across search marketing. But for anybody that thinks they understand the challenge or the problem that's being asked of them and just getting straight into delivery mode, just pausing, knowing what questions to ask and to really understand a challenge or an objective before we get into things, that for me is the fundamental skill and what I take advantage of if we're invited to a pitch or a tender. It's learning to ask the right questions that help you solve the problem.
Yeah, I'd say I'm not too dissimilar to James in that arena. I think it's taken me a few years now, but how to speak the C-suite language, I guess, because they're ultimately the decision makers in our clients' businesses and prospective businesses as well. But the three elements I've learned to speak is, if you can talk about how you can save a business time, how you can save them money, and how you can add value. If you can nail those three aspects, you're talking in their language and you're getting through to them. And I think it's asking the right questions and speaking the right language. It's a valuable lesson.
There's definitely a book there, Dale, the C-suite whisperer, that you can perhaps draft when you retire.
Yeah. I might work on another title, but yeah, potentially.
Well, you could be very 2025 and you could self-publish on Amazon and get AI to write it. How's that?
Oh, there's an idea right there.
There you go. Just feeding this
It's a
podcast
moneymaker.
out.
There you go. Oh, yeah. Very good, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you very much. Some really useful insights. I especially like the way you guys are applying AI. Very, very enlightening and very exciting, actually. So, yeah, thank you very much for joining me.
No, thank you
My
for your
pleasure.
time.
Yeah, thank you, Gareth and audience, for having us.
Yeah, thank
Speak
you.
soon.